What's good, YouTube? I know you probably don't know my name, but I'm Receiver FG, and I consider myself somewhat of a comp 2K player, and that's me in the middle, facilitating finisher Elite 1, as you can see. So in this video, I'm just going to give you my 10 tips on how to get a higher win percent. There's a lot of things that I think comp players don't really tell you, and people with 30, 20 win percents will just never, understand because they never get anyone to help them out and to tell them. Basically, my step number one is just learning how to shoot with a low three-pointer. First, everyone says, turn your meter off, which is true. You have to turn your meter off, I feel, if you have a low three-pointer. If you have a high three-pointer, I honestly don't think you have to turn your meter off if you don't want to. But if you have a low three, I would recommend strongly that you turn your meter off. And if you're a spot up, and your three is low, it'll be easier with catch and shoot things. But as like a dribbler, if you have a 63-pointer and you're the point guard, you're not always going to be lights out, but you can shoot pretty consistently. The build I have in the video that I'm showing has a 64, and I'm not going to cut out anything because I think it's fair to show, the mistakes I make, and I have a high 80 win percent, so that's fine. I'll show, the mistakes I make, and we played two pretty comp teams in these videos, in this video, so yeah. And step number one, turn your meter off, learn how to shoot well. But that's not, a very important step. To me, step number two is a lot more important. You need to learn how to dribble the ball effectively. This is for all my guards, man. Learning how to dribble the ball effectively is such a big deal in this game because there's so many dribble tutorials and videos I watch that just are lying to you, man. They're lying. You don't need to be shooting threes off of 30 dribble moves. You just need to do a couple dribbles, get an open shot, and shoot. If you watch how I play, you can see that I do a few moves that are very effective, and I shoot the ball or drive off it every time. Moving hezzies are your best friends. If you use a moving hezzy and then you fake the drive and shoot a three, you're open almost every time. If you use a moving hezzy and then act like you're gonna do another moving hezzy and step back and shoot a three, and then you drive to the basket instead, gets you open most of the time. The long step back with Allen Iverson's size up is amazing. You should always use Allen Iverson. He has the quickest crossover and the long step back. To me, that's just amazing. If you learn how to combo your crossover, it's ridiculous. And then I think it's normal too as your moving crossover that you need, or something like that. It's a normal moving crossover that everyone uses, and you see me use it every time I come up the court because it's so effective. You can go all the way to the left, all the way to the right, and then you only need to do one move to get open. So tip number two, in my own opinion, is to just dribble to get open. Don't dribble all day long and piss off your spot ups and do all these ridiculous things that end up draining your energy, and then you miss a wide open three afterwards. But yeah, so tip number three, I'm gonna say always understand the game of basketball. And that sounds simple, but it's really not. People get really worried about the scoreboard a lot, but we're just playing basketball, man. If you're down by 5, then you can only shoot a 2 or a 3 to get back in it, right? But what I'm saying is don't rush to get yourself back into the game. You don't need to rush yourself back into the game. Take the 2 if it's there and trust your defense, man. Like, you have to be a decent defender to be, get yourself back in the game, but you don't always need to force threes when you're down a good bit. You just need to understand, taking the open shot, passing out to your teammate for, an oop, because they're doubling you if they're playing high off the screen or something. So pretty much any circumstance that you feel like you could be playing wrong, like, man, I really made a mistake trying to shoot them 3 threes when we were down by 4, but we ended up getting 5 stops, So just understand that. I think everyone makes that mistake plenty of times, and we'll all admit to it, those who play the 3s court. If you play 2s, you do what you want, but for people that play 3s, it's really important to not always just try to force your way back into a game, but to just slowly work your way there. Yeah, so that's pretty much it for that tip. I think I'm on tip number 4, if I'm right. Could be wrong. Tip number 4, I would just say to always stay very focused. Like, they say that it helps with anything, and your posture, keeping your eyes on the TV the whole time. Like, focusing is really smart. Like, don't have your music blaring. You're just messing with everyone. If you're trying to play comp games with music blaring and you're laying back, it sounds like a very small thing that wouldn't affect anyone, but I swear it really does. When you're postured up, sitting up, and you don't have any distractions that you're thinking about, nothing on your mind, you're just hooping, that's so cringe. But yeah, if you're just playing the game of basketball and understanding what you're doing, then you'll definitely notice a little bit better, more focus and concentration in your game. I feel like that will make you time your jump shot better, and a lot of things will change. So that's tip number 4. Tip number 5, I would say, is do not make a build, like, let me think of how to explain this. So make a build that fits you and fits your team, but the build that fits you might not be a point guard. And if you're not a good point guard, then don't play point guard. And if you're not a good spot up, then don't play spot up, Like, if you like to dribble and you do well every time you're playing guard, but your friend's like, I like guard, then you need to play with someone else because he's just not a good fit for you. So playing the build that you're best at is what will always, make you win most of your games. Like, I play spot up for fun, and I notice that I lose more games than normal when I'm playing spot up because I enjoy guard, and that's just what I like to do. I feel comfortable with the ball in my hands, and I feel like I understand the court and facilitate well, and I don't get stressed out whenever I'm doubled or I have a lock on me. So just understanding your position it's important. Knowing, do I want to be an on-ball lock, do I want to be the center, or do I want to be a guard is very important. Very important into your 2K game, in my opinion. Tip number 6 ties straight into tip number 5, and that is stop making the wrong build. Every build in this game, and these are tips basically to set you up for 21 to play better, but every build in this game is not a shooter. Like, all builds can shoot is what I'm saying, but every build in this game doesn't have to be a shooting build. You don't even need the shooting pie chart. I think almost every build is better without the shooting pie chart. Like, the two-way slashing playmaker is probably one of the most dominant builds in the game, not a shooting pie chart. The facilitating finisher build that I'm using cannot be stopped at all by any on-ball lock whenever I don't want them to. I can dunk all over them. I can shoot consistently from 3. I can do anything I want because they just can't stop me. But I'm not even the shooting pie chart. I'm finishing and playmaking. So I don't think that this year's shooting was very effective. I'm sure it might be good next year. It was good in 19. So, I got to understand that next year maybe the shooting pie chart will be the wave again, and we'll see. But a lot of people will say, like, the offensive threat is the most dominant point guard build in the game. And I would say that I believe them, but I just don't think it's true. I mean, it is good, and when you are behind screens and know how to shoot effectively and know how to quick stop, but guards that have a 30 win percent they're not shooting quick stop threes and greening them every time. They don't understand that aspect of the game. So for my lower win percent people, it's just, make a dominant build, but don't put shooting in your pie chart. Put something that helps you out more. Put finishing in your pie chart. Put defending in your pie chart. Put playmaking and help your teammates out in your pie chart. I mean, that's really important. And knowing that you have Hall of Fame Dimer and even Hall of Fame Clamps on the same build is insane. And you're still going to be able to shoot. Every build without the green pie chart can still shoot. And that's almost a tip in its own. Every build in this game can shoot. I've seen legends with a 34 three-pointer cash out from 3. And that's just how the game is this year. You can shoot with any build you have, no matter what you think you can and can't do. You can make a shot. I've seen every build do it. And yeah, you should make some, give yourself some shooting badges. You're not just going to go crazy with one shooting badge, but yeah, the right pie chart and the right build is very, very important. You will not win games if someone has 20 extra badges and a way better build than you. You will fold those games. And I've played plenty of times when I'm tied with a kid, like we're equal in skill basically, and he has an offensive threat, and I'm on my two-way slash and play, and I just dominate him because he doesn't have the defense to guard me. If I get 2 stops in the game, it's over because I know I'm not going to get stopped by that kid driving to the paint one time, and I'm going to step back and shoot threes, and he will just lose focus. So that's tip number 6. That's a really important one. Very, very important to understand. And I don't think everyone gets it. If everyone got it, then everyone would be running the most competitive builds in the game, and it would be different. But yeah, tip number 7 is, if you're playing to have fun, then play to have fun. But if you're playing to play competitive, then you need to be playing with people. Do not play with randoms. Playing with randoms will kill your 1%. It is the worst thing to do. If you're going to go play with randoms, then play Call of Duty. Play, a different game. Because playing with randoms in 2K, no communication is one of the hardest things to do. Because if you're the guard, they're not going to give it to you. They're going to give it to their boy, and then their boy's going to shoot 0 for 9, and you're going to be sitting there losing the game 22-4 and looking like a bum. And that's just the reality. Playing with randoms, in my opinion, does not get people better. You might become a beast and you don't ever have friends, but you're still never going to have a high win percent playing with randoms. And that's just my opinion. But I've never met someone that says I play with randoms and they don't sell my win percent. My win percent's 95. Like, you just don't hear that. You hear I play with randoms and they sold me. People like that just making excuses because they're not good at 2K. No offense, but that's another thing. If you're good at the game, then you will almost always have a group post on Xbox, community on PS4 to play with. Someone will pick you up if you're a decent player. I've never struggled to have teammates within 30 seconds if my boys are off and I got double rep or something. So excuses like that just don't work. Randoms are not the move. You should never play with randoms. You should always have people you're playing with, in my opinion. And that's a very, very valid tip, in my opinion. Tip number 8. Just play your game. Really, just play your game. Do what you know your build can do. If you're trying to overreach and overstep something, then you're going to lose. If you're in an ISO battle and the kid on the other team is dropping you off because you got 1 defensive badge, for example, my facilitating finisher has 1 defensive badge, I will always switch my lock onto the point guard. I don't care. You should learn how to switch your lock onto the point guard and still be able to play good defense in the corner and, be aware on defense. But your lock should help you out. Like, that's his job. He made the build to guard the ball for you. And it's annoying, but the right builds will dominate a lock, and the wrong builds will get clamped. And that's just 2K. But that's basically my tip. Play your game, do what your build does. If you're a lock and your guard says, I got him, be like, dude, no, that's not a good idea, dude. Like, you're gonna get scored on almost every time because you're not a defensive build. And if he is like a 2-way and you're a perimeter lock with max wingspan or something, you should still be guarding ball because wingspan is a big deal. So tip number 9 would be what I think are the biggest deal in 2K right now, and that is wingspan and weight. People do never talk about that. And pie chart, your like agility pie chart, speed pie chart, that's a huge deal. Like, if you make a build and you pick, for example, I picked strength and speed, I think was this build I got, my facilitating finisher. And he is an animal because how strong he is. He can dunk on centers. No build can guard him. He's fast enough to where he can cook centers with 88 speed, and he's strong enough to dominate in the post versus any point guard build in the game. So, yeah, that's just a really, really important thing that not a lot of people know about. Putting strength in a build that's a slasher, you'll instantly notice a difference. I swear, I have a slasher without strength and a slasher with strength, and I can instantly tell the difference. Like, instantly. It's miles different with extra speed, extra anything. And weight is a big deal too. Like, you notice that you just feel stronger, you feel like you can hold the center down more. Like, those things are just way different in my opinion. So I think that was my 8th tip, but I'm just gonna go to tip number 10. I don't really have many more. My last tip is to just start understanding how to play with IQ. You know, don't get nervous if you're playing with someone good that you're gonna sell. But IQ is really big in 2K. Like, for example, if the guard sets a screen and you get killed, like you're the guard, and your center doesn't pick up, that's a low IQ play because you need to give up the 2 every time. Like always giving up the 2 will help you in the long run. Another thing is like if 2 point guards are crossing paths at the same time, one's going left and the other one's coming right behind to the right, y'all should switch instantly, so it'll make it a lot easier, so one person's not chasing the guy with ball across the whole court. Just switch it over and it's not going to be a problem at all. Like you'll instantly switch and no energy really exerted from either one of you. So to me that's a huge deal and really important for 2K. So basically how this happens, like understanding IQ, is someone good will start to tell you, you need to switch, you need to switch, you need to switch. And it's going to take time. It's not easy. But just understanding IQ and learning how to play the game, learning how to switch, that will really help you in 2K. And yeah, that's pretty much my 10 tips. I hope you learned something. If you're a good player already, then you just wasted 16 minutes of your life, buddy.